to be one of the biggest importers of weapons and equipment. It's a dubious distinction, and this modernization is going to continue for many, many years. And the situation in Ladakh against China this year actually triggered a huge spate of procurement efforts. Here's a lineup and a look back at all the weapons that India has decided to push the button on this year.
We've already told you about how the Ladakh standoff is 2020's biggest defense story. But behind the scenes, in 2020, India also decided to beef up its defenses, weaponize faster, and bring in even more military hardware. Here's a quick look back at the top weapon systems India initiated paperwork for this year to procure. For starters, a deal for 21 new MiG-29 jets that was in the works has been speeded up by the Ladakh tensions. The Indian Air Force operates over 60 of these jets, with several deployed in and around Ladakh. With new upgrades, these jets will be even more capable of defensive and offensive air operations. India's most capable fighter, the Sukhoi 30 MKI, is also seeing action in Ladakh. And the government has cleared decks now to add a dozen more of this jet to a fleet of nearly 300 aircraft. The largest of its type in the world. The additional 12 will also be manufactured by HAL in Maharashtra. Another major acquisition that's under clearance is a contract for more Israeli Heron drones. Already the mainstay of India's current surveillance drone fleet, these unmanned aircraft are seeing extensive use mapping the standoff zones in eastern Ladakh. The new Herons will be improved versions and could possibly even sport weapons capabilities. The Indian Air Force is also using the current tensions to push through a deal for more Israeli Spice 2000 precision-guided bombs. The same type that were dropped from Mirage 2000s in the Balakot airstrikes last year. An interesting new weapon system that could be ordered soon is the Israeli Firefly loitering munition. A helicopter-style mini-drone packing a sensor and a warhead, basically used by infantry teams to hunt down, pinpoint and attack kamikaze style. These devastating drones have recently been ordered by the Israeli Defense Forces as well. With the threat of Chinese airspace intrusions also at a high, the Indian forces are looking to push through a deal for a small number of Russian 9K 333 Verba man-portable air defense systems. The Verba is a modernized replacement of the Igla system that the Indian Air Force already uses. It remains to be seen how many of this particular system is finally ordered. Close infantry combat becoming a very real possibility in the standoff, and with rules of engagement changing on the China border, The Indian Army is also using fresh financial powers to double a previous order for American Sig Sauer 716 battlefield rifles. The first order for a similar number, over 72,000, has completed delivery, and the rifles are already deployed with Indian frontline troops. With China deploying large numbers of light tanks on its side, the Indian Army has felt a refreshed need for agile light mountain tanks of a similar kind. With the current regiments of Indian T-72 and T-90 tanks more suited to the plains, the Indian Army has formally begun a quest to acquire light tanks suitable for maneuvers in the rough high altitudes of Ladakh. It must be said that the requirement is over a decade old and only has been exacerbated by the current tensions.
Fire on area rectangle.
The Indian Army's newest artillery system, the ultra-light M777 guns, have been deployed in Ladakh, and now the Indian Army is looking to acquire more Excalibur extended-range guided shells for the gun, providing a far more accurate and capable frontline artillery capability. The Indian government is also considering placing more orders for the M777 guns themselves, but nothing's been finalized on that front. And finally, the Indian forces are expected to receive an Israeli air defense system for deployment at high altitude to plug many gaps. While it is unclear which system this specifically is, there has been speculation that it could be greater numbers of the already deployed Spider quick reaction anti-aircraft system. One of the most significant deals cleared in 2020 was for nearly 250 Astra beyond visual range air-to-air missiles. These fully indigenous air combat weapons have been tried and successfully tested by the Indian Air Force and will bring a formidable capability to frontline jets. These missiles, capable of engaging targets from a massive 100 kilometers away, will arm Indian Air Force Su-30 jets, the light combat aircraft Tejas, as well as the Indian Navy's MiG-29K fighters. Another Indian system that has received orders this year is the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket system, a devastating piece of rocket artillery that already arms several regiments of the army. The new order will allow the army to raise even more regiments of this feared Indian weapon and then pave the way for future contracts of the more capable guided version of the Pinaka. A list of just a dozen of the weapon systems that India has pushed through in 2020. With tensions against China and an uncertain world continuing for the foreseeable future, expect 2021 to be more of the same. We've listed just 10 major systems being pushed through amidst the current tensions. Expect there to be several more, as India beefs up and prepares for the long haul on a border that has seen blood for the first time in 45 years. Bureau Report, India Today.
And that brings us to a close to the last episode of Battle Cry for 2020. Be sure that we're going to be back with much more Battle Cry in the new year. So wishing you and your families the very best. And as we sign off from 2020, as we always say here on Battle Cry, remember, India's strength will only be realized when no weapon is fired and no human needs to be sent into battle.